Today, I'm making the most important video you'll ever watch. So here are the exact 10 books that made me successful and productive at 15. Meet Natalie. She hasn't been able to find her place and where she belongs at her school. Natalie just has this big insecurity that she's not a charismatic person. Well, Natalie, you're in great luck. Read How to Win Friends and Influence People. It'll change your life. Here is the problem addressed in How to Win Friends and Influence People. People skills are literally crucial in your personal life, in business, literally at school. The general principles and laws in this book is that people crave importance. Appeal to another person's interests, not your own. Don't try to be interesting, be interested. Don't interrupt. Keep asking follow-up questions to get a conversation to keep going and to really get to a deep spot. And a successful conversation is when you talked less than the other person. I literally learned instantly how to make 95% of the people I converse with like me and leave that conversation feeling like they were important. Meet Sandra. She's a strong leader of a creative writing club, but she constantly feels like she has trouble giving honest feedback and is usually too nice, or she tries to be honest, but she just comes off as aggressive. And she wants to promote the club to the whole school, but she feels like the club is just not established enough. She's just struggling to be able to put her foot down without seeing herself as really aggressive. I think there's a lot that you should know being a leader as a woman. So I've got the book for you. Read Lean In. I read this book with someone else, kind of in a book club type structure. This book addresses a problem that women face discrimination and inequality in the workplace, but also a lot of those barriers that we have as women are self-inflicted. I've always not really liked the whole girl boss connotation or how to be a good boss as a woman. I've always just been trying to live in this rose-colored lens that there is no discrimination in our world, but it's not necessarily true. But this book doesn't just be oh, women have inequalities in the workplace, boo-hoo. The author, Cheryl Sander, gives women really practical advice on how to lean in the workplace. So when she says lean in, it really just means take risks in the workplace. And there are studies presented in the book that show that women are less likable than men, even when they have the same behavior and qualifications. And I also just started realizing how these patterns of data that were described, that were taken from women in the workplace, were really starting to be applied to school. I saw how sometimes my classmates that were girls' responses were a lot less confident than the guys. It seemed like guys could take all these risks. Meet Micah. He sees all his friends in high school getting into these relationships, getting out of relationships, and knows their dating methods aren't what he wants out of life. But he doesn't know what a successful, intentional Christian relationship looks like. And he's been so scarred by his past secular relationships that he almost feels hopeless at times. Micah, go read Outdated. As a Christian, personally, it's very easy to get discouraged in dating culture because the world's view of dating is very different than the Christian worldview. In this book, the author goes over 3 things: why we date, who we date, and how we date. The author kind of touches into 2 facets, which are lies that culture has told us, and then principles of dating that we should follow. And definitely some things in this book stepped on my toes, definitely challenged my beliefs, but I think this was really refreshing for me to hear because there is just so much guidance out there that over time is compounded, and we just start to feel that dating is this clear-cut way that culture is defined instead of allowing the Bible to define how I view dating. Some principles that literally kind of shook me was 1, don't play mind games. There's a Bible verse in Romans 12:9 that says love must be sincere, and it just made me realize God really does not want us to be playing mind games. The second principle that also shook my world is they won't be the one, but they'll be a good one for you. If you're single, use that time to become closer to God. This has definitely encouraged me to not view this time as kind of just waiting, but more just preparing to be the freaking best girlfriend, wife anyone could want to have. So personally in my life, how I applied this is it kind of just made me stop romanticizing dating. Sometimes we think that the guessing and mind games are cute and fun, but it's just in reality, it literally just breaks us. I want to love that laugh. Meet Daphne. Her older sister Lily is super thoughtful, constantly gives Daphne handmade gifts, and she also helps Daphne clean her room when Daphne is stressed. Although Lily seems to be the perfect sister, Daphne often feels unloved by her sister. Until she read the 5 love languages. I'm sure a big share of you guys have heard of the 5 love languages. The problem addressed in this book is that a lot of marriages crash very soon. Why are there so many divorces? And the solution is that we are simply not speaking our partner's love language. So everyone received love in a different way. There are 5 love languages specified in this book: quality time, physical touch, words of affirmation, acts of service, and gift giving. The author goes through each one of these with story examples. This book really just just shows how love can be in action. I want to talk about personal application. I know these marriage books might be like freaking y'all out. Like, I am not thinking about this how I'm gonna like apply it to my marriage. These love languages can be applied in platonic relationships. Your relationship with your family, everyone has that way that they receive love. I'm gonna give you guys a real world example in my life. There is someone in my life who I know loves me, but I don't always feel that they love me. And the reason why is that they give me a lot of words of affirmation. They give me physical touch. But my love language is primarily quality time. Physical touch and words of affirmation are nice, but they don't really convey a clear message to me that someone loves me. But it's just giving me this new awareness, and I find that I blame people a lot less because I know that people love me, but maybe they just are not showing it in the way that I best receive it. Meet Dan. He's so freaking rich because he read Rich Dad Poor Dad. So if you want to be like Dan, go read Rich Dad Poor Dad. I did not pick up Rich Dad Poor Dad for so long because I thought the cover was freaking ugly. Do not let the aesthetics deter you away, because I really regret that I didn't read that book earlier. It has really transformed my mindset on money. I spend my money a lot differently now. So the main problem being addressed in this book is most people adopt the popular poor dad mindset to money. So the fear of not having money has people working really hard. Once they get a paycheck, greed gets them to spend that money on things that don't actually generate more income. So in Rich Dad Poor Dad, the author Robert Kiyosaki puts us in the perspective of two mindsets: his poor dad, which was his biological dad, and his friend's dad, which he called his rich dad. His rich dad had a lot of principles on investing in assets and investments. The top two lessons I took from this book is buy assets, not liabilities. An asset is something that's going to generate you more income. A liability is something that is not going to. So I always think about, before I buy something, is this a liability or is this an asset? And my hourly rate is so much higher now because I'm spending my money towards business expenses. Actually, even though I'm spending a lot of money, I'm technically making more money per the amount of hours I'm spending because I'm being intentional on that. A lot of the time, spending money can free you more time, and that time I spend on school. Meet Annie. She's recently become more direct with feedback, but has trouble sounding like too mean or aggressive versus being a pushover like she used to be, whether it be at work, school, or church. How do we give honest feedback without being a jerk? I read Radical Candor by Kim Scott recently, and Kim Scott actually worked with Sheryl Sandberg, the author of Lean In. They both worked at a lot of Silicon Valley tech companies. The problem addressed is that it is very hard to give feedback informally and formally without either sounding like a jerk or being too scared to actually give honest, direct feedback. The solution is Radical Candor. Radical Candor is kind of on this quadrant where you care about that person personally, but you also challenge them directly. You're not scared to actually say what needs to be said. I've been thinking of times where I was obnoxiously aggressive, giving feedback in a way that wasn't actually going to help the person, and I've also had times where I was too scared to be direct, and Radical Candor just sets up this model where giving feedback is normal. Kim Scott really builds on how to create a community where Radical Candor is loved, it's appreciated. Honestly, even Radical Candor, any type of criticism hurts, it stings, and I've been learning recently to accept that. Radical Candor has taught me to actually give my criticism in the world. Like, that is totally okay. Meet Kristen. She is a leader of a lot of her organizations, and she just somehow ends up being the leader in every organization she joins. She's a natural leader, but she really wants to figure out how she can become an amazing leader. The book, The Leader's Greatest Return, allows her to scale in many high positions in her organizations and multiply leadership. I don't really know if I could say that I have top books because I have a lot of different books that pour into my life in different areas, but this book, it shook me. Like, literally mindset. A lot of leaders think that being a good, successful leader is about accumulating a lot of followers, but being a good leader is truly about multiplying leaders. For example, if your organization would fall apart without you, you are doing something wrong. So the solution offered is to identify leaders, attract leaders, understand your leaders, and motivate your leaders. How I've really seen this be personally applied in my life is I will make sure to encourage people that I see leadership potential in, even if they're not in like my direct organization. And I also started giving more creative vision to people who helped me with my YouTube channel. And this book has just changed my mindset so much because it has made me realize what is a good leader and what is not. I honestly think that the leadership bar is set so high after reading this book. Meet Joshua. He's a computer science fanatic that is trying to get into Stanford's computer science summer program. He's constantly working working on his skills to match up with competition, but feels constantly stressed about the future and his performance. He feels so stressed that the present moment often feels distant and strange. He's probably way too stressed to even ever sit down and read this book, but he should read The Power of Now. Problem addresses that we often try to find fulfillment through material possessions and accomplishments. Like literally, there's such a hustle culture in our society. I have fell to it. I still fall to it. But in The Power of Now, the book states that the only way to be truly fulfilled and peaceful is to live in the now, to live in the present moment. I first want to put a disclaimer out here that this book does go through some pretty new age spiritual beliefs, but this book, like the main idea I took from it, just kind of changed my mindset when I'm really going down a loophole. I don't have to care where I am in 5 years if I'm happy through every single present moment and I'm peaceful, fulfilled through the present moment. Like, why does it matter what your life looks like to other people if you're happy in the present moment? So just think about this question. Are you currently living in the present, past, or future? Ooh, I am so excited for number 9. This is the only fiction book that I'm including in this video. It is so good. This is All Your Perfects by Colleen Hoover. I know the cover looks so embarrassing. Whatever. You can use a book sleeve. So this book's structured in a then and now format, so it goes from the past to the present. In the past, Quinn, the main character, meets a guy and his name is Graham. They love each other. But then the now is based on their current marriage. Their current marriage is falling apart because of the infertility issues that Quinn has had, and they just have such a toxic marriage at the moment, and it really just rips them apart throughout the book. I can't really give you guys like a ton of info on this book because it is fictional and I don't want to spoil it, but I really just want to explain why this romance book that might seem like it doesn't have much substance is in my list, because it literally taught me so much. The lesson I got from this book is that love is a choice and marriage is a choice. Guys, I know I've been reading so many books on marriage, like don't judge me, but like I want a man that won't give up on stuff when it gets hard. Like just seeing Graham's strength throughout this book, he is such a great husband. Meet Mallory. She's a social media influencer surrounded by many mentors giving her advice on how to grow her page's career, make more money, but there's just so much advice here on this earth on how to live a good life that often she feels conflicts with her faith as a Christian. There's so much noise surrounding her and what principles to follow, so she opens up her Bible and reads Proverbs. I don't like to say that I have favorite books of the Bible because all of the books of the Bible are amazing, but Proverbs has really been speaking to me as of lately. Problem addresses, there is so much advice here on earth on how to live a good life. Everyone has a different version of right and wrong these days, so the solution offered is to follow God's spirit of wisdom and to hate evil. And the reason why I find Proverbs so important in my own personal life is because I love self-help, I love man-made wisdom, I love philosophy, but there's so many man-made versions of right and wrong, so I feel that there needs to be a certain baseline, and for me that's Proverbs. Alright, something that really freaking hit me was Proverbs 3-5. Okay, for the lips of the adulterous woman drip honey, and her speech is smoother than oil, but in the end she is bitter as gall. Sharp as a double-edged sword. Her feet go down to death, her steps lead straight to the grave. So the reason why I really want to talk about this verse is because when I was kind of getting into new age spirituality, a lot of people that were successful in money and their career, they promoted all these things that were their way to success, and their words sounded like honey, they sounded tempting, but they're really gonna lead down to death for me. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, like even at all, go join the Long Dynasty. Yes, I call my subscribers a Long Dynasty. You guys are literally royalty. We are all improving together, and I'm so proud of each one of you. I will see you guys in my How to Manage Your Time Management Guide video. This video, literally key to time management. I'll see you there.